Welcome to Law Talk with Peter Meyer.
Welcome to Law Talk with Peter Meyer. Peter provides personalized and professional representation for personal injury and wrongful death cases across Georgia, empowering injured individuals to recover financially and hold those responsible accountable. I'm Chelsea Reynolds, and today we're talking about wrongful death lawsuits. This is episode 9, Wrongful Death Lawsuits in Georgia, What Families Need to Know. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, Chelsea.
Let's dive right in and get to the basics. What qualifies as a wrongful death case under Georgia law?
What it means simply is when one person dies as a result of the legal fault of another person or entity. And this can be negligence like a motor vehicle accident, a defective product, medical malpractice, or even an intentional act. I've handled wrongful death cases for over 25 years, and these can be the most challenging cases because of the severity of the loss. And no amount of money can make up for that loss. And so what we try to do is make that process as smooth as possible for the family and get them the best outcome.
Who is legally allowed to file wrongful death claim in Georgia?
The wrongful death statutes in Georgia are very specific about exactly who can bring a claim. The wrongful death claim can be made by the surviving spouse.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no surviving spouse, then the deceased surviving children. If there are no children and no spouse, then the parents. And if there's no spouse, no children, or parents surviving, the administrator or executor of the deceased estate can bring the claim. And I should note there are two separate parts of a wrongful death case. You have the wrongful death claim I just described, and then you have a separate estate claim as well, which is filed by the executor of the deceased person's estate. And that money is held for the benefit of any next of kin if there are any young children and so forth.
So would an example be like grandchildren who are surviving? Okay.
Yes, if you have grandchildren and no other adult relatives surviving, then the executor of the estate would bring the claim for the benefit of those grandchildren who would receive benefits when they turned 18.
And what types of damages can families seek in a wrongful death lawsuit?
There are two parts to the wrongful death claim, which have different types of damages. So the first part is the wrongful death claim itself brought by the family for what is called the full value of the life of the deceased. You have wages and benefits, what they would have earned throughout their lifetime. And then you have loss of companionship. So the first part of the claim is for the full value of the life of the decedent, and it's viewed through the eyes of the deceased. So that means the jury is asked to consider what this person's life meant from the perspective of that person. And our job is to tell the story of that person's life, where they came from, where their life could have gone. And so that full value of the life is first the intangible parts, the parts of life that we value the most: spending time with family and friends, raising children, milestones in life like graduating school and getting married. And the second part is the tangible value, meaning the economic part of the life, meaning how much money and benefits they would have earned through the remainder of their life. And that economic value also includes the value of things that you do around the house and so forth. Now, the estate claim is brought as a second part of the case for pre-death pain and suffering, medical expenses, funeral expenses, and if applicable, punitive damages. In a wrongful death case, we spend a lot of time and resources determining the full value of the life under Georgia law. So we use family members, friends, coworkers, as well as economists and other expert witnesses to looking at the person's age and their career and future potential. And we determine what all of that is worth. And that's the most challenging part of a wrongful death case. And that's why you need a firm that specializes in these cases.
And how is wrongful death claim different from a typical personal injury claim?
Well, it's different in who can bring the claim, and it's also different in what the damages are. So in an injury case, you have damages with such as medical expenses, pain and suffering, and lost wages for a specific period of time. In a wrongful death case, we have to look at the entire value of someone's life, their potential earnings and benefits, and then also the future love, joy, and activities that they would have lost. And so we have to work really closely with family, friends, and coworkers, and also hire economic experts to tell the story of that person's life, what could have been, and the devastating loss to the family as a result of this accident.
What's the time limit to file a wrongful death lawsuit in Georgia? And then what happens if you wait too long?
Well, if you miss the statute of limitations, you're barred from bringing the claim completely. So this is the reason why you have to immediately consult with somebody as soon as this happens. Generally speaking, 2 years from the date of the death is the statute of limitations in Georgia. There are some exceptions. The time is told if an estate is not set up for the estate part of the claim. If the only beneficiary is a minor, the statute is told until they turn 18. So you have until they turn 20 years old if there are no other relatives. But there are some other pitfalls, such as if you're suing the city, you only have 6 months to present the claim, or a county, you have 1 year to present the claim. So it's important to consult an attorney who specializes in wrongful death cases as soon as possible to make sure that you don't forfeit your right to recover.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave this up to guessing or just looking online. I'd definitely reach out to an attorney that specializes in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of pitfalls that you needed a lawyer to look out for.
For sure. Can more than one family member recover compensation, and how is it divided?
Yes, more than one can recover. It depends. So the wrongful death statute is very specific about who can recover. So first, it goes to the spouse, and the spouse gets 100% of the recovery unless there are children. Then it's divided between the spouse and the children, with the spouse receiving no less than 1/3 of the recovery, regardless of how many kids there are. If there's no spouse, children, then it goes to any living parent, and also to the administrator of the decedent's estate to hold those funds for any other minor relatives that there might be. So in Georgia, just to sum up, only the spouse, children, and parents in that priority are vested with the authority to file wrongful death lawsuits. Other relatives, like aunts and uncles and grandparents, they have no right to pursue these wrongful death cases. And if there's no surviving spouse, child, or parent, then whoever is appointed administrator of the estate, they must assert the claim. If there is a minor child, the estate will bring the claim and then hold those funds for that minor child until they turn 18.
For filing this, what kind of evidence is usually needed to prove a wrongful death case?
Well, like any case, initially you have to prove negligence, meaning the other party was negligent. They ran a red light or had a defective product or had danger on the premises. But the big difference between wrongful death cases is the evidence to prove the damages, meaning the full value of someone's life. Economically, you have to prove what they would have earned over the remainder of their lifespan. And so we'll have to bring in an expert economist and expert witness to estimate what their earnings would have been through the rest of their expected lifespan. The more challenging part is the intangible value of the life. We have to really tell the story of this person and what their life could have been. The intangible value of the life includes all the things that make life beautiful: spending time with family and friends, getting married, having kids, graduating from school, having children, all of that. We recently had a very tragic case. It was a 19-year-old honor student who was really killed in a horrific motor vehicle accident. And, we had to show her earning capacity based on, her grades, her aspirations, and her talents, and also the intangible value of her life, such as the family that she was so close to that she was never going to spend any more birthdays or holidays or vacations with, and as well as having her own children. She wanted to get married and have children. And the hardest thing that we have to do in a wrongful death case is to try to place a monetary value on all these things that make life beautiful. And the process of handling these cases, it's an intimate and emotional case to put together. And we work really closely with the family and friends. And we also hire the best experts to calculate the monetary value of what they would have earned.
What are some of the challenges that you see most often in these cases? And how do you help families get through these?
Well, it goes without saying that it is such a highly emotional time for the parents, children, or spouse who's lost a loved one. The most challenging part is putting a value on someone's life, not just their earning capacity, but the loss of a loved one and all they would have done with their life. And we have the experience and the tools and the experts to really maximize that recovery. But what we do for these families is we try to make the process as smooth as possible. We handle all of the details, hire the experts, make sure the bills are paid. We will deal with the insurance company, and we will get the highest possible settlement or verdict. And what we try to do is just provide really professional and compassionate service and give the family some sense of justice for this loss.
What advice would you give someone who suspects a loved one's death was preventable, but isn't sure about taking legal action?
First, they need to consult with a law firm that specializes in these type of cases. So you want to immediately get a free consultation with a firm that has experience and a successful track record in wrongful death cases. The laws are very specific as to exactly who can bring the claim and very specific as to what the damages are and how they're divided. So, and also the law is very specific about how long you have to bring the claim. So we have to make those determinations very early and do all of the hard work to build the case and develop the winning case to give the survivors the maximum recovery and some sense of justice for their loss.
This is a very sensitive subject, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing how somebody can walk through it. And thank you, everyone, for listening to Law Talk with Peter Meyer. So if you've lost someone or believe negligence may be to blame, don't wait to get answers. Visit meyerlawfirm.net to schedule a confidential consultation, and be sure to subscribe and share this episode with someone who might need it. Thanks again, Peter.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.